What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Life and Law with Mike and Bill podcast. I'm Bill.
I'm Mike.
And we are very excited to launch this podcast.
Very excited.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't realize Mike and I spend a lot of time together.
Too much, in fact.
Well, not since COVID. Not since COVID. Mike was quarantining for 2.5 years, basically.
Well, you weren't?
Not as much as you.
Well, you should have been.
But for those who don't know us, my name is Bill Colarulo.
See, stop that. I hate that. I hate that expression. For those who don't know us, people do that all the time. Even when they're giving a speech at an event. For those who don't know me, my name is. Why do you have to say it? If they don't know you, they know they don't know you. So why do you have to address them directly? But go ahead.
You know what's great? We made it 45 seconds into our new podcast before Mike had an opinion and a rant. So 45 seconds. So anyway, we're here, Mike and Bill, along with our marketing director and podcast producer, Lance Wiley. What's up, Lance?
What's going on? First-time producer.
Lance is the
First time, long time.
Yeah.
So I'm Bill. I'm an attorney. Mike is an attorney. But those who do know Mike is also a foodie.
I hate that word.
I know you do. I know you do. A foodie, an attorney, a grandfather, a husband. What else are you, Mike?
A former hockey player.
Wait, hold on. What are we rating this podcast? What else can I call Mike on this podcast? Is this a adult only NC-17 podcast?
It's got to be at least NC. I don't think it's got to be R.
Yeah.
Wait, what do you mean at least NC-17? NC-17 is a step up from R.
Is it really?
Yes. The ratings are this. G for general audience.
Oh, look at you.
PG for parental guidance.
Uh-huh.
PG-13, parental guidance under the age of 13.
I see.
Rated R, I think, is no one under 17 without an adult.
Right.
Yeah.
And then NC-17, you can't go unless you're under 17. And then I don't know anything about this, but then there's an X-rated category.
Oh, I wouldn't know anything about that.
No.
Yeah, Mike doesn't know that. But anyway, let's get out of the way. If you don't know who we are, look us up.
There you go.
How's that?
Let's move on.
How's that? So we are starting this Life and Law podcast.
Life and law.
Because for whatever reason, people find Mike entertaining. So I'm just here to facilitate. That's all I'm here to do. Lance is here to produce. This is Mike's show, and
You're
we're
here
just
to
in it.
facilitate and aggravate, right?
Facilitate and aggravate.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a great idea. Facilitate and aggravate. So we're going to talk about different things related to the life and law. Obviously, we're attorneys. We're a law firm. So we're going to try to focus every episode on something legal related, but more so just talk about what's going on. You know, if any of you followed me before, I had an Eagles podcast, so I'm a big Philadelphia sports fan, which is great because Mike hates Philadelphia sports fans.
Not true.
He's from New York or
No,
North Jersey. Lance is having fun with those buttons.
I
over
am
there.
from Jersey City, New Jersey.
Oh, here we go.
Okay.
Where'd you go to college, Mike?
I went to St. Peter's College, now known as St. Peter's University. Let me show you what we got here.
Oh, boy.
The St. Peter's Peacocks. There they are.
For those who are listening and not following along on YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, Mike just pulled out a gigantic peacock and put it on the table because, let me guess, it's St. Peter's. Are they the peacock?
They are the Peacocks, and they are in the Sweet 16 for the first time. Go ahead, hit it. All right.
Let me ask you a question. For the first time since when? Ever?
Ever.
And when did the school start? Do you know?
Oh, God, 1800s? They've been like 1850, 1840 something?
Were you in the inaugural class?
I was not, no.
When you were there, did basketball exist yet?
When I was there, basketball existed on a very high level, but not at the NCAA level.
Peach baskets.
Oh, that was cold.
That was a low blow.
No, when I was there.
Where's Erica? We do employment discrimination as well. I will not stand for any sort of discrimination based off of age.
When I was there, the head coach was a guy by the name of Bob Duquette, and the team was very good. They went to the quarterfinals of the NIT, which, as you know, is the secondary tournament.
Yeah.
But at the time, they had the highest ranked defense in the country of all Division I. They gave up, I forget, it was a ridiculously low number. They were giving up on average 38 points a game, which is absurd.
Was there a shot clock back then? Probably not, right?
I don't think so, no.
When was the shot clock first introduced in the NBA?
That was 80s, I believe.
So probably not.
Can't help you there.
Probably not.
Still no shot clock in high school.
So, but you didn't play basketball, did you?
I
Mike?
did not.
You were a hockey player.
I was a hockey player. Yep.
So for those who know what Mike looks like, it may be hard to believe that he was once an athlete.
Is that where we're heading?
I was trying to give you a compliment. It came out backhanded. But I never fully believed him. But he sent me, because he had got this in his favorites on his cell phone, he sent me a picture of the all-time record book for St. Peter's hockey.
Well, the all-time record book at the time.
Yeah, and you were pretty damn good.
Yes, I was.
What was the records that you held back then?
Oh gosh, I was the leading scorer after the first. Let me take a step back. When I graduated, the team had been in existence as a varsity team for 3 years. It was the first 3 years of the varsity program. And when I graduated, I was the leading scorer, had the most points, most goals, most penalty minutes, most hat tricks. And we had a statistician, young man, Kevin Hurricane Carter, who is now Father Carter.
He's a priest.
He's a priest. He's a wonderful man. And he kept this little record book on, if you remember that far, before copy machines, mimeograph paper. You guys?
No idea what
No
you're
idea
talking
what
about.
I'm talking about, yeah. Where, the purple carbon sheets. Forget it.
All right, we're going to have to move on.
Yeah, we're going to have to move on. But there is
Anyone that's listening to a podcast has no clue what you're talking about.
There is a 1976-77 yearbook that Kevin Carter produced. It's out there somewhere. I think it's actually in the archives at St. Peter's Prep.
Interesting.
In Jersey City.
Jersey City, New Jersey. Well, we're coming to you from Cherry Hill, New Jersey.
Yes, we are.
The real New Jersey, South Jersey. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, Michael's a North Jersey guy. He's a big fan of St. Peter's, obviously. He's got the Peacock out. We're rooting for them. When do they play again?
Friday.
Friday.
Here in Philadelphia.
Are they the only Cinderella team left?
I believe so.
Who else you got, Lance? Lance is a big basketball fan.
I mean, there's some lower seeds. I don't know if there's Cinderella. Michigan's a low seed, but Michigan's usually pretty good.
Yeah, Michigan's Michigan.
Yeah, I mean, St. Peter's was a 15 seed.
Yeah.
This is only the third time in NCAA history that a 15 seed has made the Sweet 16.
Yeah. So you guys, if you're going to listen along every week, you're going to start to realize that Mike is full of useless knowledge and useless
knowledge, information, and talent.
So we'll test him on that. But
Yep.
all right, so let's switch away from the NCAA. Like I said, we are lawyers, so we want to try to talk a little bit about the law.
Mm-hmm.
Big news this week: Deshaun Watson. A lot of people in Philadelphia thought or wanted the Eagles to make a trade for him. Doesn't happen, but the Cleveland Browns make an unbelievable contract offer to him after the trade. I think he's got $230 million guaranteed.
All guaranteed.
Fully guaranteed.
Fully guaranteed.
That's insane. But what we want to talk about is, so this comes on the heels of the week prior, there was the grand jury hearing with regard to all of these sexual assault allegations by the masseuses against Deshaun Watson.
What's the plural of masseuse? Is it masseuses or is
I don't know.
Masai?
What is it? Is it Masai?
I don't know.
Anyway,
Okay.
by more than one masseuse. How's that?
There we
Multiple masseuse. Maybe it's masseuse. I don't know.
Maybe.
So interestingly, the grand jury does not indict him on any of the one count. Nothing. They let him go. He has no criminal charges pending. But there are still 22 civil lawsuits. Mm-hmm. And I've had some people say to me, well, what does that mean? What does that mean? How is it possible that there's no criminal action, but yet there's still pending civil lawsuits? So, Mike, what would you tell those people, Mike? Do you even know?
I would tell them, you remember OJ?
There you go. It's the O.J. Simpson.
It's O.J. Simpson all over again. He got acquitted of all the criminal charges, but found not guilty, but found responsible on the civil end. and was ordered to pay how many
Yeah.
millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah, so a lot of people are familiar with what's called the burden of proof. And when you watch TV, you watch criminal proceedings, it's beyond a reasonable doubt. For someone to be found guilty of a crime, the state or the government has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that they committed this crime. In O.J. Simpson's case, a jury found him not guilty. They did not feel that the prosecution had satisfied that burden of proof. In Deshaun Watson's case, it didn't even get past the grand jury, but they felt that there was the burden of proof wasn't there. In a grand jury, it's even less
Yes.
in the grand jury. But in a civil lawsuit, the burden of proof is not beyond a reasonable doubt. And I have explained this to many juries over my career. If you're looking at the scales of justice, if the scales tilt even a feather's weight in favor, the burden's been satisfied. It's what's called a preponderance of the evidence. But the easiest way to look at it is look at the scales of justice. If it tilts a feather's weight, then the burden's been satisfied. When you're talking beyond a reasonable doubt, you picture those scales of justice, it's got to be completely tilted in favor of the burden. So although Deshaun Watson, a grand jury said, no way this would ever be able to be proven in a court of law in the criminal context, it could still be more likely than not that he committed what would be some sort of sexual assault in the civil context. And what's the difference between a criminal and a civil matter? Criminal, you're usually going to jail.
Right.
Civil, you're paying damages to the victim.
Right. And a guy in Deshaun Watson's position who just signed a $230 million guaranteed contract.
Yeah, he's got it.
I think he can write a check or two. And,
Well, can he write 22 checks?
I'm sure he can, yeah.
22 checks. And, look, we do this. I don't know the full details of everything that happened with Deshaun Watson, but, it's if these are true, if these allegations are true, he should have to write a check to these people, for what he did. But interestingly, this brings us to another thing that happened over the last couple of weeks. Big Eagles fan here. Lance is a big Eagles fan. Mike's a Giants fan, but...
But wait. Before you start talking about the I don't even want to, the Eagles. Deshaun Watson goes to the Browns. What about Baker? Well,
Are you a Baker Mayfield fan?
I'm a Baker May fan.
Baker May fan. He's a Baker May fan. Is that a new word?
Baker Mayfield.
Canadian
I
Football
feel bad for the guy. He's been in the league, 4 or 5 years? 4 years?
Yeah.
I think he had 4 different head coaches, 4 different offensive coordinators. Give the kid a chance to mold himself and blend in and develop some sort of continuity within the offensive system.
Yeah, but you say that. Let me play devil's advocate for a second. What else could they do for the guy? They gave him Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham Jr. They had a good running game. Then they have Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
And
Nick Chubb.
And Nick Chubb. I mean, the fact that OBJ forced himself out of Cleveland last year, and I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that he just didn't think Baker Mayfield was a great quarterback. Do you remember there was that video circulating social media of all the times that OBJ was open that Baker Mayfield just didn't see him or couldn't get him the ball? So you feel bad for him. That's not like Mike. You're usually interested. If you feel bad for Jalen Hurts?
No.
Why not?
He's an Eagle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let me ask you,
Yeah.
who do you root for so everyone knows where you're coming from here? You're a Giants
I'm a
fan,
Giants
right?
fan.
You're a Giants
I
fan.
am a Giants fan. I root for the Giants and anybody who's playing the Eagles.
Lance loves those buttons. So let me ask you, do you feel bad for Daniel Jones?
What's to feel bad about?
Because he sucks.
Okay.
Do you think he's the answer in New York?
No. But we're going to find out.
Do you feel bad that Joe Judge was fired?
No.
Wait, who the hell did they hire? Who's their new coach?
Brian Dable.
Oh, they got the offensive coordinator from Buffalo.
Right. And the GM, they got the assistant GM from Buffalo to be the GM.
It's crazy, though, how much the NFL, we're talking about Deshaun Watson, Daniel Jones, Baker Mayfield, talking about quarterbacks. It's crazy how much a quarterback makes or breaks the coach, the general manager, and every other player on the team.
It's a quarterback-driven league.
But you look at Mike McCarthy, right? Mm-hmm. He had Aaron Rodgers and was this great coach, and they go to win a Super Bowl. If you watched any of the Dallas Cowboys games last year, they won in spite of Mike McCarthy. That guy is a horrible coach. But when you have a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, horrible, Mike.
Here he goes with the extremes.
Horrible. But when you have a quarterback, it makes up for it sometimes. You know, you could have a great coach may be able to make up a little bit when he doesn't have a great QB, but a great quarterback can really make your head coach look good.
Yeah.
So, anyway, Daniel Jones, not the answer in New York. Brian Daboll was the reason I brought that up is because look at Brian Daboll and the GM, the assistant GM that they brought over. They were in Buffalo. Josh Allen was an absolute stud what that guy can do. There's nobody in the NFL that can do what he does. The way he runs the football and throws the ball.
Mm-hmm. So does Daboll, as his former offensive coordinator, get any credit for that? For his development?
I don't know. But that's what we're going to have to see. Can he develop Daniel Jones?
That's what we're going to see.
That's why he was hired.
That's why he was hired. It remains to be seen.
But it's interesting. The Giants organization has been not the best of organizations over the last few years.
No, it hasn't. And quite honestly, if I may I, Lance? I think they hired the wrong Brian.
Who did you want? Brian Flores?
Brian Flores.
Interesting. That's a whole nother legal issue.
I would have gone Brian Flores.
Was it the Giants? Refresh my memory now. So obviously another legal issue going on with the NFL. Brian Flores files a discrimination lawsuit against the NFL
and the Giants specifically.
Because the Giants, that was the text message that came from Bill Belichick that they hired Daboll before Flores even interviewed with the Giants, right? That was the Giants.
Yep.
So, yeah, if you look at the optics don't look good for the NFL. When you look at, since the Rooney Rule was implemented, the Rooney Rule being that you have to interview minority candidates, there's actually less black head coaches in the NFL now than there were when the Rooney Rule was first implemented. So that didn't work. And they're just giving these token interviews to black head coaches, which it doesn't make sense either because a majority of the NFL, of the athletes in the NFL, are black. So how they are not making their way into the head coaching ranks just doesn't make sense when you look at it from a pure numbers perspective. But that's a whole nother thing. I was going to talk about something else.
Wait, before you go on, okay? There is no such
Nother?
a whole nother. No, it's another, not a whole nother.
Okay.
There's no such word as nother, Lance.
So there is. Okay. I'm from South Philadelphia originally.
Nutter butters?
Yeah, another nutter butter.
That's nutter, N-U-T-T-E-R.
Nutter
not
butter.
Nother, N-O-T-H-E-R.
Look, there's such thing as South Jersey, South Philly slang, okay? And we're going to use that on this
we don't like
podcast, okay? Just like you say chocolate for our fans.
Oh, we're going to do this now? Is that where we're going to go down this road? Okay. All right, I'll play your game. Yeah. Chocolate. Yep.
So we'll hear that. We're going to need you're going to need a button, Lance. Every time he says something with a North Jersey slang, we're going to kill it.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So, but this brings me to the Brian Flores matter. I still don't think they've resolved the potential binding arbitration clause, right? That was in his employment contract. So in certain instances in these employment contracts that the NFL had with head coaches, that NFL teams had with head coaches, is that they agree to binding arbitration, which means you cannot sue them in a court of law with a judge and a jury. You've agreed to submit the case to just a binding arbitration in front of an arbitrator, which as trial attorneys we hate. We always advise people, we do nursing home abuse here, and sometimes nursing homes will ask people and families to sign away their right to a trial prior to putting the family into the home. Don't do it. Same thing with medical malpractice. With doctors. I remember having a doctor wanting me to sign something that if any malpractice occurred, I agreed to just go to a binding arbitration. Yeah, don't do it.
Don't do it.
Never give up your right to a trial by jury.
Never give up your right to anything.
So, but let's talk real quick. We were talking about Deshaun Watson. And we'll talk about another guy that the Eagles were rumored to have bring in this season was Calvin Ridley, the wide receiver from Atlanta who sat out the season last year because I think he was having mental health issues. But he has now been suspended
for the season.
For the season.
Unheard of.
Because he gambled, which I think has been reported as $1,500. And was it on NFL games or was it on a baseball game?
No, it was NFL.
It was an NFL game?
It was on his team, too.
but he wasn't playing in the game.
No, and he was betting that they would win.
And they was betting that they would win. So he's been suspended for the whole year. Now, here's what's interesting.
Yeah, go ahead.
I
know where you're going. Go
I want to
ahead.
get your opinion on it, Mike, because what's interesting is you got Deshaun Watson. He just gets $230 million fully guaranteed. We don't know if the NFL is going to suspend him for these 22 allegations, but if they do, I can almost guarantee that it will not be for the entire season. Because when you look at precedent, other players who have committed sexual assaults, domestic violence, or gotten into physical altercations, gotten into fights, things that you may deem even worse than putting a $1,500 bet on a team when you're not even involved in the game, have not received anywhere near that sort of punishment. What do you think about that, Mike? I know you got an opinion.
It's Pete Rose all over again. So let's not get to Pete Rose yet. Calvin Ridley apparently, allegedly bet on his team to win.
I think he admitted it, right? He admitted it. It's not even alleged anymore. He admitted he bet $1,500.
I don't see anything wrong with that. Now, if he bet on his team to lose and he was playing the game and therefore could influence the outcome where he could throw the game, 1918 White Sox, that's a problem.
Wait, is that Shoeless Joe Jackson?
Shoeless Joe Jackson. Yeah.
Interesting. Wasn't he also in the Field of Dreams movie?
He was. He was indeed, yes. But, I mean, again, that segues into, Pete Rose doing the same thing, who has now, after so many years, openly admitted, yes, I bet on baseball, I bet on my team, I bet on my team when I was the manager, but always bet on them to win.
Yeah.
Never to lose.
And what's more surprising is, betting is not taboo anymore.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, because even you look at it now, the NFL it was ignored that the gambling was a big part of the NFL, but now they've just embraced it. They got a team in Vegas, for God's sakes. Mm-hmm. Every single time you watch the game, you're seeing DraftKings and all these different bets. Yeah, so you're right. Gambling is so mainstream now. It's hypocritical for the NFL to suspend this guy for the whole season.
Indeed.
What do you think about that? So let's go back. You're a Pete Rose guy, right? You're a fan of Pete Rose?
Pete Rose. Love Pete Rose. Always have.
So this is a debate that's been debated for years.
Years.
Should he be allowed in the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame?
No question about it. Do you know why, Lance?
Because he's the greatest hitter of all time.
How so? What do you mean by that?
Oh, here comes the useless knowledge.
He has more hits than anybody.
How many hits does he have, Mike?
Oh,
you know the number?
You're going to hit me with the number now. 4,372?
Hold on. I'm going to get this.
I don't know. What's the number?
How many? Wait, what was your number again that you said?
4,372?
4,256.
That's close.
Who's number 2 all time?
Ooh, excellent question. Number 2 all time.
Oh, you should know this. Let's see. So I've done this with Mike before on other topics. I'm going to give you 3 strikes to name the top 5 hits leaders of all time in Major League Baseball. So you already got Pete Rose. That's 1. You get 3 more strikes to round out the top 5.
Wow, that's a tough one. Give me the number. Give me the number of the number 2 guy.
4,191.
Okay, so that's got to be... Pete Rose broke the record of Ty Cobb.
Ty Cobb, excellent. Fun fact, what else did Ty Cobb, was he known for outside of baseball? Where did he make a lot of money?
Selling peaches.
That's not what I was going for.
The Georgia peach.
Is that what it was?
No, he was in porn films, wasn't he?
No, wasn't Ty Cobb the one that invested in aluminum before soda started getting put in aluminum cans? Wasn't that Ty Cobb?
Where are you coming up with this stuff?
I am almost positive that Ty Cobb, let me see if I can find it somewhere. I thought that Ty Cobb made a ton of money investing in aluminum cans, in aluminum before they put soda in aluminum cans. Hold on. Bear with me here for a second. I'm going to Google this.
Ichiro has, what do you think about his combined hits? He's 4,367.
Yeah, and how many of those were in Japan?
1,270.
So in Major League Baseball here in the United States, he's still a 3,000 hit guy, right?
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
It's very impressive. I don't know. Do you consider him the all-time hits leader? I don't think you can. I mean, The Japanese leagues are they've produced quite a few very, very good players. But this is a Major League Baseball record. Major League Baseball is ours. It's American. It's the United States.
So I think I was slightly correct. It looks like Ty Cobb invested in Coca-Cola very early and made millions from Coca-Cola. But it said he made more money from his investments than he ever made playing baseball.
Well,
died with
that's not surprising given the era in which he played.
The era or the era?
Era.
Okay, Lance, era or era?
I'm an era guy.
I'm an era guy too. You say niche or niche?
I don't say either one.
You say vase or vase?
Vase. Yeah, it's a vase. Yep.
Yeah, it's not a vase. Anyway, so a lot of stuff going on with the NFL. Also going back to the hypocritical nature of the NFL with Calvin Ridley and all these people who get suspended, these players. How is Dan Snyder still the owner of the Washington Commanders?
Well, that's not for you to say.
How the hell is that possible?
Why?
With all the crap that's been coming out of Washington, with how dysfunctional of an organization that is, from sexual harassment charges. And then, me and Lance were talking about this earlier, how about the accusations by Brian Flores that owners are asking him to throw games? Right? Stephen Ross asked him to lose games. He would bonus him out for losing games. That's worse than putting
probably
a 15.
Why he got fired, because he wouldn't do it.
Because he wouldn't do it.
Right.
But yet, Stephen Ross still owns the Miami Dolphins. He's not suspended. But yet you got Calvin Ridley for a $1,500 bet. Not only missing an entire season, not only losing millions of dollars, but let's be selfish here for a second. That would have been a great weapon for Jalen Hurts, wouldn't it?
Oh.
Yeah.
There were talks all season last year about how the Eagles would make a trade for Calvin Ridley in the offseason. And do you know why, Mike? Do you know where Calvin Ridley went to college?
Alabama.
And do you know who was there at Alabama when he was there?
Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts.
There you
And then
go.
you got Devontae Smith. It would have been a nice little duo over there.
Well, you can dream.
So anyway,
That's what Philadelphia Eagles fans do. They dream.
So every week on this podcast, we're going to talk about stuff life and law related. We're going to have guests on a wide array of topics. This is just our first episode, so bear with us. But I always want to try to spend a little bit of time, because if you couldn't tell over the first 25 minutes of this podcast, Mike is very opinionated and he hates a lot of things. So his social media show is called Mike Speaks, and a lot of people think that he only speaks on food, but oh no.
Oh, no.
He speaks on many, many things. So
Many topics.
This is going to be a part of the segment that we call Mike Speaks. And what Mike, let's just talk about something I said
Ed,
prior.
you're the instigator.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Set me up. Go ahead.
I said prior to coming on the air, I used an expression. What was the expression that I used? He hates expressions. Why do you hate expressions so much?
Because it's diluting our language. It's poisoning the minds of our children.
Wait, what did I say before we came on? Then you got all angry. Here he goes with the expressions.
What did he say? I forget. There's so many and they're so constant, especially coming from you millennial, that it just, I can't even remember them from one to the next.
Wait, now that is reverse age discrimination by calling me a millennial. Because if I called
How
you
is that discriminating?
if I called you a boomer, everyone would be all offended. But you can
I
call
would
me
be
a
offended.
millennial?
Why would I be offended?
I'm going to knock you out.
Baby boomers, what's the time period?
Yeah.
46 to 64?
You see, I'm on the depending on who you ask. I'm on the cusp of maybe being a millennial.
You're on
'Cause
the
I'm
cusp of a lot of things.
I'm going to
What
be
do you-
39 in June.
When were you born? It doesn't. when were you born?
1983.
That's a millennial.
Yeah, I think it's like right on the cutting edge. See, we are the luckiest generation, Mike. Let me tell you why we are the luckiest generation. I was born in a time where social media didn't exist. Computers didn't yet really exist. Cell phones didn't yet really exist. But I got to experience all of that coming in. So I got to see the world pre and post social media in a way unlike you, because you're too set.
You didn't see pre. Come on. How do you figure you saw pre? And you were born in what? 83.
1983.
You have no idea what it was like to leave your home to go out and play, and come back home when the street lights went on.
That's not
Or
true.
ha-
I played street hockey almost every single day in the street.
In what street?
my development.
In your development.
We played basketball on glass barefoot.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure you did.
Anyway, when I was in high school, we had those little Nokia phones. We used to play Snake. Do you remember the Snake game?
I think I have the world record in Snake.
Yeah, I was pretty damn good at Snake, too. You don't even know what I'm talking about.
When I was in high school, we didn't have cell phones.
Yeah. And then when I was in college, I was just talking about this in an interview that Rich and I did on the Metaverse. When I was in college, you couldn't have Facebook unless you had an EDU email address. You had to have an EDU email address. At the time, it was thefacebook.com. Do you remember that? Thefacebook.com. And I was one of the first people on Facebook because you couldn't get on it. You didn't have an EDU email address then. You never had an EDU email address because you went to college before.
So for putting all that together, you consider yourself the luckiest generation.
We are the greatest generation. All right. Anyway, that actually is a full 30 minutes.
Really?
That was it.
Just flew by.
This is the first time we've ever done this. I promise you this show is going to get better and better and better. We're going to bring in guests. Once Mike really gets going, you're going to realize how much of an asshole he actually is.
Did you say? Oh,
wow.
We're going to have to bleep that out?
Bleep that out.
We're going to have to bleep that? I don't think so. As long as we put the rating as, I don't know, parental advisory.
You can say that, but you can't say that about me.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Okay?
Mike.
I'm the talent.
He's also very modest.
Yes.
But stay tuned. Be sure to check us out. All your favorite podcast platforms. We're going to be everywhere you get your podcast. We'll be posting some content to our social media pages. So check us out at Grungo Colarulo. But my podcast.
And let us know what you want us to talk about.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Make some suggestions.
Make some suggestions.
We can talk about anything.
But be sure to like, follow, subscribe on your favorite podcast platforms. We're hopefully going to be coming to you guys every single week. And we're hoping to bring on some great guests, some interesting topics. And
Go Peacocks.
Go Peacocks.
Go Peacocks. Go St. John's.
St. Peter's.
St. Peter's. Prick.
All right. Talk to you guys later.